Hi class, welcome back. This is part 2 of your pre-lab tutorial with me, Elizabeth Harding. And things look a little different than where we left off. I'm just going to show you what I've done here. So going back to lab 1 error scores. Okay. I have added a row here and I have actually numbered my columns 1 through 41. Okay, and I can show you how I did that. Basically, I would click here, row 1, and go to insert, and it just knows to insert a row. So make sure that whole row is highlighted. And then in top here, I would just, in these first 2 cells, I would type in 1 and 2, and then carry them all the way across. And the reason is because the columns in Excel are alphabetical, right? So we have 26 letters, so we know we have at least 26 columns. But we had quite a bit of data, went all the way to AO, which is actually the 41st column. And we're going to use these numbers when we pull in this data by participant ID. All right, so go ahead and do that. Go ahead and add, again, right click and insert. And it's just going to insert a row right over the one that you highlighted. So here I highlighted 3, and it inserted a row here at 2, right? And then go ahead and number them 1, 2, and then carry that all the way over to column AO. All right, so I'm going to get rid of these 2 rows. Right click, just delete. Okay, so that way my row 1 it has the numbers in it. Okay, and here's why we're going to use that. We're interested in the absolute constant and variable error for our 3 testing conditions. Right, so the first one we're going to pull in is toss condition 1, absolute error. And you can see that that is actually the 13th column. And I guess that column would start in M1. Our header starts in M3. Right, so just keep those in mind. We're going to go back to our working sheet. And I have a new formula for you to use. It's called VLOOKUP. And so you can see that I've actually started, here's the 13, right? And that 13 corresponds with this right here. And I'll show you how we can work on changing those very simply. All right, and here is, since I wanted to pull my headers in from that worksheet, from this error scores worksheet, I went ahead and started here at row 3. So I want to, this is the formula, VLOOKUP, parenthesis, we're going to reference the UNM ID number, then we're going to reference the data sheet that we want to pull the data from. Then we are going to reference the column that we're interested in pulling from and using in our working data sheet, and then false. And the false just means that we want an exact match. So when it goes to look up the UNM ID number, we want to make sure it's exact. We don't want just pieces of it. So true, if it had contained, right, if the ID number contains, say, similar or the same 4 numbers at least, or at least 4 numbers, we would put true. Obviously, we want an exact match to the UNM ID number, so that's why we're using false. All right, so let's go ahead and try this. We have our toss condition 1 header here. I will show you how to do that for toss condition 2. We can do it the manual way, which is to highlight these 3 cells, which you're going to have to do since you didn't start off this way. So you're going to highlight these 3 cells, and you're going to select merge. So if you don't have this icon readily available, you can always right-click and format cells and select merge from alignment. But for simplicity, we're just going to use that and type in toss condition 2. There we go. All right, and then for toss condition 3, we can use our format painter. So we can highlight what we like, paintbrush, and then highlight M, N, and O, and it merged the cells for us. You can't see that. And we have TC3. All right, so at least we have some headers. So our data sheet is, our working sheet is really cleaning up quite nicely. All right, so now let's use the VLOOKUP function. So we're going to leave this row alone here, this row 2, And we're going to start our VLOOKUP function in this, this row 3. So under toss condition 2, so J3, I'm going to go equals VLOOKUP, parenthesis. Now, lookup value, I want it to look up by ID number. So I'm going to select on this row, right? Stay in the same row. I want UNMID. Select. Now, comma. Now the table array. So that's the entire data set that I am going to be referencing in these formulas. So I'm going back to Lab 1 error scores. And I need to select the whole thing from cell A1 all the way down and all the way across, all the way to column AO. Okay, so that's where it's going to reference. Okay. Then comma. Yeah, sorry. Get rid of that. You don't want that. The column that we want to return, let's just go ahead and use, we're going to use J2 actually. So J2, let's see if that works. I should know, but I don't. All right, so our formula is not quite done yet. We need to make sure to lock in certain cells, and we're going to do that using $signs. So first thing we want to lock in is the UNMID number. We want the column to be fixed, but we definitely want Excel to travel from row to row to row, looking up the right ID number. So we want to put a $sign in front of the A. Okay, so we have our table array is next. We want it to always stay there. We don't want Excel moving around, dropping down by row. We definitely don't want it to be moving across by column, right? So we're going to fix a $sign, or we're going to put a $sign to fix both the column and the row, right? So the $signs go before the letters and before the numbers. So here's $sign AO, $66, and now J2. So I want it to look at the numbers in this row 2, because these numbers match up with our Lab 1 error score columns. So I am going to put a $sign not in front of the J, because I want the column to be able to move around, but I want it to always reference that second row in that number. So as I move my formula from column to column to column, it'll hold on to anything I put the $sign in front of, but will move along with anything I didn't. Okay, and then false, because we're looking for an exact match on that UNMID. Okay, so not quite there, but that's okay. So let's see what happens if we say reference, see, we want to reference the absolute error for toss condition 2, which would be column 26. So let's see what happens when we go back here and we enter a 26. We get the absolute error for toss condition 2. Right, so just making sure that that looks right. So we're looking at row Z. All right, we have 0, 6.5, 2.6. And we can carry this down. Oh, it's by serial number. I mean, not a UNMID number. We're good. We're good. We actually are good. All right, so this is column, referencing column. Yep. So referencing column 26 from our Lab 1 error scores. Here we go, that we numbered. Right, so now we need 27 and 28, as well as 39, 40, and 41. All right, so I'm just writing these down real quick. 27, 28. Okay. All right, so let's see what happens. So again, Excel is going to be looking for the serial number and the data associated with that serial number. All right, so if we were to just copy and paste this formula, actually that's not going to work for us very well because we have this whole thing here. It's okay, we can just run this down. Just want to copy and paste. Okay, I'm going to do Command C. and Command V. All right, so my values are the same. See that? Why? Okay, there we go. Done. All right, so same, but what happens when we want row 27? Is that right? 27? So we change that number, and now we have our constant error. Right, so we can do the same thing. We can just keep copying this formula over. And I like to do it one by one just so I can kind of check in, right? So then we're looking for row 28, which should be variable error, right? And see, it just automatically changes it. Okay, so now we could, you know, say highlight one of these, either 26, 27. Let's just do 28 since we were on that kind of in that mode. Okay, so I'm going to do it the long way, copy. And then I want to paste it in all of these cells. Let's see what happens. Sometimes it does feel like very much like magic. Okay, so I just did Command V. Alternatively, you can paste here. All right, so this isn't very helpful, right? So I just copied three columns of the same, you know, toss condition to variable error, 28, see, 28, 28, 28. So let's go ahead and just change the numbers. We're looking for columns 39, 40, and 41, referenced to our lab 1 error scores, right, all the way over. We want 39, 40, 41. And we go to our working worksheet, and we type in 39, and we should see magic happen. And it does, and we have 40 and 41. That never ceases to amaze me. Okay, so there we go. We have our constant error, our variable error, and absolute error for 3 testing conditions, or 3 toss conditions. And our data worksheet is looking really, really nice. All right, so we have some participant demographics over here, and we have some missing data over here. So how should we grapple with this? Well, I think sorting would be a really good idea. And maybe we want to sort maybe by the actual first bit of data we have, which is here in the cell G4, the absolute error for toss condition 1. So we're going to highlight, we can't necessarily highlight the whole sheet because we really want our headers to stay okay. We can highlight this last row of headers here. And go ahead and highlight it. So let's see who's missing data. All right, so that's highlighted, and then we go to data and sort. And we want, make sure your list has headers, right? Because we want to keep this intact, this UNMID, male, female, etc. We want to keep that intact. We want to sort by absolute error. Right? That's our first data of interest. And let's go largest to smallest. So that way all of the zeros and all of the blanks are on the bottom. That's shaping up. Okay, let's get that off. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and make just no fill this. So it looks like everything else. Right, and you can certainly color code anything, you know, anything you want to help you sort through this mess. All right, so we have, awesome, we have data here, but these participants didn't have their demographic information complete. So we can go ahead and get rid of them. A couple of ways we can do that. If we don't ever really want to delete participants, we could copy or we could cut. So we could just cut them here and then just make room for them down here and sort of have like a little, sort of like the misfit pile down here. Okay, so we can go ahead and clean up our data sheet that way. You know, delete these extra rows here. So I'm just right-clicking, cleaning things up, right? And then since you know where to get the spreadsheet, this is your copy to do with what you want, you can certainly just start deleting rows. Typically, it's not best practice to delete anything unless you've made a copy of a copy of a copy so that you have a backup of a backup. But for this, it's just kind of nice. Wait, make sure I did not just delete a female. No, she definitely didn't have data. All right. All right, so we just clean this up. So yeah, looking really good. And then this person here, this individual didn't have data, but they put their demographic information in, which is awesome. Which probably means that they didn't attend, weren't able to attend that first lab because only 2 of you were able to attend. Let's go ahead and delete. Yeah, I think it's shaping up really nice. So we have participant demographics. We have some zeros here. We probably should clean that up. Keep looking in the male-female column. That's not wise. All right, this looks good. And then we have data maybe up to here. So I think these have to go, unfortunately. So our N is getting smaller and smaller. So we can just go ahead and just take out the bottom of this sheet here. And I'm right-clicking, clearing contents. And there you go. That is a beautiful data sheet, right? So